You are now tuned in to the next best thing. Justin Henry, Will Thompson.
Yeah,
Let's go.
y'all can talk that talk, but this is just hoop talk. Updates on the news, analysis who's who gon' win, who gon' lose. Is it true? Is it true? This is just hoop talk. This is just hoop talk. Ball.
And what's going on? Just Hoop Talk Nation with Justin Henry, Will Thompson.
Yes,
today we are going to be dialed in on Steph Curry's greatness.
Yeah.
Will, have you been seeing what he's doing, man?
Man, going crazy, bro. He's almost as fired as our intro. Sometimes when I hear our intro, I'm like, damn, our intro is so fired up.
18 Langston, man, it's straight heat.
Yeah.
And man, that Just Hoop Talk, bro, like this is something that we built. I'm glad it's here, and I appreciate everybody that's joining us right now. If you are not live with us, make sure you dial into the comments, you like, subscribe, and share the channel. And if you are live with us, you're rocking with us for the evening, make sure you comment, get in there, get active with us. If we're saying something you like, let us know. And if we're not, tell us why. Tell us how you really feel. So let's get into it, man. Steph Curry has been on an amazing run here lately, really putting on a show. He hurt his tailbone a while back, but since then, he's come in and just lit it up, taking this Warrior team from we're probably going to be out of the playoffs to they might be a little sneaky contender. Will, what's your thoughts on what Steph Curry has kind of done since he's been back from that tailbone injury?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about it last time we were talking about the Warriors, but I feel like for the first time in Steph's career, he has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I feel like he really has something to prove. He was written off early in the year. He's been written off a lot. I mean, a majority of his career. To be fair, he hasn't performed really well in the finals and big games and in big moments. So a lot of his legacy has kind of been downgraded. Obviously, the situation with Kevin Durant joining the team and then winning championships, he started to see kind of his legacy be downgraded as well. And so this is his first time to really just be Steph, man, to just really show us what he can do when the team is on his back. And one thing's for sure, he can get buckets, man. He can impact the game. Like, I mean, there aren't too many people in the game or that we've seen in a long time that can impact the game that way. It's crazy because he's not a physical guy. He doesn't demand the ball. He doesn't have the ball all the time in his hand. He's not, like I said, he's not oversized. But he can take over a game with his shooting, bro. His ability to shoot the ball can completely change a game, and it demoralizes other teams. It demoralizes defenders. You see guys just kind of like they don't know what to do, bro. They don't know what to do with him. Nobody's ever really seen anything like it. So it's incredible, man. It really is.
Well, his range is crazy, man. It's the range, it's the combination of the handle, and then it's the confidence. We're seeing Steph right now play at a level that he did the 2015 year. Like, he knows this is his team. He knows that the team can't score without him, and he knows in order to make the playoffs or make a serious run, he's going to have to average 30 to 40 points a game. And he's lit it on fire. We take a look at his last few games here on the screen, man, and we see nothing but 40, 30, 50, like every single night. Since April has started, Steph has scored 33 or more every single game, hitting anywhere from 5 to 10 to 8 3-pointers. Like, it's insane. And he's playing at such a high level right now that it's not just the stats that are equating, it's winning basketball games. Yeah. When you win basketball games, along with the fact that you're hitting and playing at this historic pace, I don't know, man. I can't really think of a time since we saw Kobe go for those 40 straight or 9 straight 40-point games. I haven't really seen a player be this locked in. Maybe Lillard last year when he had that 4 or 5 game stretch where he got hot. But I don't see this ending. Like, that's the crazy part with Steph, is that when he's locked in and focused as this type of shooter, it doesn't end. Like, this is he's not just streaky. He's just that damn good. And I can't wait to see what happens for this rest of this month, because I really don't see it slowing down.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. You kind of touched on it. He looks comfortable, right? Like, it looks like
almost
this is
cocky.
just
He's cocky
yeah,
right now.
right. This is just what he's supposed to do. You know, it doesn't look like he's overexerting himself. You look at the stats, he's not putting up a crazy number of shots, right? Like I think on there the most attempts that he took in a game was 28.
Yeah.
So he's not throwing up crazy amounts of shots. He's getting to his spots. He's getting he trains like crazy. He's in incredible shape. So it's so hard to keep up with him. He's able to get himself open all the time, it seems like. And it just looks natural. It comes almost easy to him. And that's a sign of like, why would this end? You know, maybe he'll cool off one game, but he's going to be right back at it. As long as he's, you know, I mean, if teams are going to continue to allow him to do his thing, I mean,
like you have to box and one him.
Yeah,
you almost have to have a box and one, which is crazy to think about in this era.
Yeah.
You literally have to box and one him when you play him because you can't let him beat you.
No.
He's the only player on the floor that'll beat you. And, you know, thinking basketball-wise, when you're strategizing against a guy like Steph Curry, it's like if you don't take the ball out of his hands, what are you doing as a coach?
Yeah.
You're allowing one of the best players, if not the best player in basketball right now, to beat you. And just get off whatever shot. You know his range is unlimited. So if you don't have somebody dedicated to him, you're not throwing two guys at him, like you're going to lose. What do you do?
That's the crazy thing is it seems like teams are just like comfortable with just letting him do his thing. And it's just like I've seen a couple situations where we saw teams throw an extra defender at him and just get the ball out of his hands, but they don't do it consistently. And I don't understand that. Like, I maybe if we see it in the playoffs, I think you'll definitely see a lot more of that. But it seems like teams are just content with like let Steph do him, and then shut down everybody else. But
in the range, I think the range is like the biggest thing for me is because when you have that kind of range and you feel like he's shooting 30-footers with ease, with confidence. So he's right now, like how high do you guard that? And, you know, I think getting down to X's and O's, when you start strategizing against a guy like Steph Curry, and you're looking at these playoff teams in the future, how are they going to guard him is going to be a big key because if there's teams that don't have necessarily the guard play in the West that can stay with the Steph Curry, it's going to cause nightmares. It'll be an easy remedy for the Warriors right now because they're getting him really open looks. They're coming setting high screens. So when he's dropping down on high screens, it's either you pick him up at 30 feet or he's taking the shot and hitting it.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the wing defenders to keep up with the Steph Curry, and he's playing at the confidence level that he is right now, they're going to be a scary team. They're legit going to be a scary team at that 8, 7, 9, wherever they fall in there in that playing game. They're going to be a scary out because if you're Utah, do you want to see the Warriors right now?
Right.
With the way Steph's playing, if you're the Suns, even, do you want to see the Warriors right now? I'm not sure those 1 and 2 seeds want to see the Warriors right now. Like that's a scary team. And Draymond's confident. Steph is, if they get Klay back. Imagine if they get Klay back. Like, Klay, just even if he's coming in playing 15, 20 minutes a game, we've seen what Klay can do in 15, 20 minutes.
Like,
if he's even close to coming back a month away, like, that might be a little gem if Klay can come back for these playoff runs and make a push.
Yeah, I'm projecting out a little bit right now. The Warriors are in 9th. They're like neck and neck with the Spurs right now. So they are going to be in the play-in tournament. So they're looking at a matchup with the Grizzlies and the Mavs. I don't think either one of those teams stands a chance if they match up with the Warriors in that play-in tournament.
Maybe the Mavs. But Memphis is done. Memphis is done.
You know, we just watched the Kings the other night and watched Aaron Fox just destroy the Mavs.
Yeah.
Like, Jalen Brunson's a good guard, but he's not, you know, they don't have a lot of really good on-ball defenders and lockdown defenders with like significant length that are going to give Steph a problem. Like they don't have it. And so that's, for me, I'm looking at the Warriors like they're probably going to be in the playoffs. And so, like you said, the Jazz and the Suns better be on high alert, man. Because
Conley's like the only, I think if they had Utah, obviously got Conley. If you got the Suns, you got CP3. So CP3's obviously historically kind of struggled when it comes to guarding Steph Curry, but I think they can hold their own. But if you get any other firepower out, you get Wiggins, you get Oubre that catches a little bit of steam. Draymond starts taking things seriously like he is right now. We can see it upset with this team. If they get in the playing game, I think right now, the way Steph's playing, there's no way they finish at the 9-10 seed. No way possible. They're going to be a 7 or 8. I'm not sure where they fall in there, but they'll be in the playing game. They only have to win one. And if you're Utah or you're Phoenix, you're looking at the Warriors right now, like they are a serious threat. 50-point games for Steph right now, they don't even feel like 50 points. He dropped 20 in the last 5 minutes of the game tonight. 20 points, hit 5 threes in the last 5 minutes. If he's playing, because right now Steve Kerr has him on a minutes restriction. He's playing the first full quarter. He's playing 6 minutes at the back end of the second. He's playing the whole third quarter and then 6 minutes at the back of the fourth. When playoffs come, that goes out the window. We're going to see Steph playing his 40-minute routine with free range, with the green light. And you know what the green light is in 2K, man. He's automatic.
Yeah. I think Steph wants this. That's the interesting thing about it is he wants it. I think he's dying for this opportunity to get into the playoffs, to drag a team like he has now into the playoffs and get into the playoffs and make some noise and win a series, man. That's going to do a lot for his legacy. A lot.
We touched on that last time. The legacy piece.
Yeah, I think he's aware of it, and I think he's motivated by it. And if he's got to go out and drop 50, he's the type of player who can win a series on his own. Man. He really is. Like if he gets hot, like there's not a whole lot that you can do about it.
We haven't seen that for the last it's been 6 years, 7 years now. So since we've seen Steph in a playoff run on his own, quote unquote, we haven't seen him have to take that on his shoulders. And I think this is an important part of his legacy. Like we were talking with Leo, and he said, you know what, Steph's legacy is already there. He's already passed some of the prominent names, AI we dropped or something like that. He's already passed that. But Steph isn't past that yet. He has to show, okay, even if he doesn't win a championship this year, he goes 2-3 rounds deep or even one great series. We're like, all right, Steph is that dude. He made a clutch shot when it counted. He dropped 40 for the entire series. This is a legacy thing because he's always had Klay. He's always had Dre. He had KD to kind of take him there. It's like we need to see Steph. We've always wanted to see Steph in this role, doing Steph shit. At this moment, we want to see it, and I think we're going to see an incredible run here next month or two. We're going to see some amazing ball. I just don't see it slowing down. Like he's going to continue taking 30 shots. He hits 50% of them. He's 40% from three. Like he's not going to miss. I just think we're going to see some crazy things from Steph coming up.
Yeah, man. Definitely let us know what you guys think about Steph, man. Where
Absolutely.
Where do they land in the playoffs this year? How deep will their run be? It's going to be really exciting and interesting. And like we said, he hasn't had to do it up to this point in his career. He's always had those other dudes. So it's always made sense for him to let other people take over in certain spots, right? Like it's always kind of like been, of course. Like if they're keying on Steph, let Klay go off, or Iguodala's wide open, let Iguodala do his thing. And now it's like, nah, Steph has to. He has to. And so that's what's going to make.
When you talk about legacies, man, obviously they're going to run into LeBron at some point if they are making that run. I can't wait to see Steph LeBron again. Man, that would be some interesting ball this year. You talk about player. We talked a little bit about Klay potentially returning for a playoff run, and we got some amazing news today. Glad to hear this. Lamelo Ball looks like he's on track to return a lot sooner than projected. There was fears that he was going to be out for the regular season. And LaMelo now is going to be on track to be back in action 7 to 10 days from now, which is amazing to hear. What are your thoughts on LaMelo Ball getting to finish his Rookie of the Year campaign? We thought it was over, and their playoff run's still here too.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. It's his hand, right?
Yes.
Like it's I
think it's his wrist.
So his wrist. So it's not a leg, foot, lower body injury that he can come back and potentially re-injure and like destroy his career. It's a risk, right? I mean, obviously, if he falls over again, he could re-injure it, but it's not like it's not a knee or an ankle or an Achilles or something like that. So I'm all for it, man. If they feel like he's ready, he looks comfortable. I'd love to see him in the playoffs. That team is so exciting, man. they're a lot of fun to watch.
The
Miles
announcers
Bridges,
too. The
Gary
announcers
Perry.
go
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. They're a really entertaining team, and the NBA needs it. I think we all need it as fans, and we want to see this young guy in the playoffs, in big games, knocking down big shots,
Yeah.
doing wild things. Like, we want to see this, man. This is big, especially in the Eastern Conference. Things are shaping up to be really interesting. So I'd love
Yeah,
to
the
see him
wild
in that
child,
mix.
man, Lamelo Ball. We got to see
Yeah,
him back. And this team was humming. They were humming with him. They were
yeah,
I think like the fourth or the fifth seed before he
they
got
were.
hurt. And I think this has actually allowed Miles Bridges to kind of take this step too. That
Yes,
he's not just a dunker
yeah.
now. He's actually making plays for this team since
Putting up
Gordon
buckets,
Hayward's been hurt. We've seen Terry Rozier kind of take his
yeah,
level of play up as well. And when you're talking about LaMelo Ball and his impact, like the league needed this. I think one thing people were looking for after LaMelo got hurt was, okay, who's going to step up? Anthony Edwards, we've seen him kind of play, but not at an efficient level. We've seen
yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton kind of hit that rookie wall and not perform the same
Right.
things that we saw him earlier in the season. We saw James Wiseman get hurt. Emmanuel Quickly in New York hasn't really shook out since the start of the season. Killian Hayes has come back, but is it a little bit late for the Rookie of the Year combo?
Right.
We haven't seen a rookie that's like, hey, I'm taking over this Rookie of the Year conversation like LaMelo Ball did.
Right.
So I'm glad to see him back because he's a dynamic player when he's on the court. And it'll be fun to watch him in the playoffs this year. You think the Charlotte Hornets have a chance to make a playoff run if they get back Gordon Hayward in time, LaMelo on time? You think they have a realistic shot at like catapulting back into like, hey, we're contenders again? Or you think it's a little too late?
I think they'll be in the play-in situation. I think they'll fall in that top 10. It's gonna be tough, man. I don't know what the remaining schedule looks like, but some teams are really starting to step up in the East, and it's getting interesting, man. A team that I like and I've been really enjoying is the Wizards, man. The Wizards are creeping up into that. They were at damn near the bottom of the NBA, man.
We left them for dead. For dead.
They're tied with the Bulls for the 11th spot, and somehow the Raptors are still around, bro. Like some of these teams, so there's a little bit of a scrap and a little bit of a fight down there at that bottom for those 9th and 10th spots. It's going to be a battle to try to get into that playing situation, but I think if they can get their guys back, the Hornets belong, and I think they'll be there at the end of the year.
Yeah, and it's funny because you talk about the Wizards, and I think we talked about Steph Curry and his amping up the level of his play here for that Western Conference. We're really seeing the same thing right now from Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
He's had so many triple doubles here in this last little stretch, and I know a lot of them were consecutive as well. He's taking his team on his shoulders. We're seeing the Russell Westbrook we saw in OKC. Yeah. And it's something about that superstar power. When you smell like, all right, we really got a fighting chance.
Yeah.
It's like they take that game to the next level. Beal is now healthy. They're still missing a few of the other players. I know like Thomas Bryant is out for the year, but Davis Bertans is back now playing at a high level. You're starting to see these guys really take it serious. And Russ Westbrook is not the type of player who's going to just lay down. So we know he's gonna do whatever it takes, whether that's grabbing 30 rebounds, 20 assists, 30 points, whatever it is. He's going to do whatever he can to get his team in. And that would be a scary team as well in the East.
Oh.
If they get in the playing game, they go and they beat Chicago or whoever's sitting there at the 8th seed. Yeah. Like, if you're looking at you're one of those top teams, you just don't want to run into Russell Westbrook and Brad Beal. No matter what. God. You just don't want to run into those guys.
No way. Yeah, they're 7-3 in their last 10, playing really well, like creeping up into that play-in situation. Russ is just, it's incredible, man. He's almost devalued the triple double. He makes it look so easy. I think he's at around or is averaging another triple double again, which is just crazy. But this is what we talked about at the beginning of the year, like the potential of this team, and it really was just kind of based on Russ being Russ. Yeah, and I feel like Bradley Beal is kind of he's still the guy there. He's the main scorer, but I feel like Russ is taking control of the team. You know, obviously Bradley Beal is the guy. He's the scorer. He's the go-to guy when they need a bucket. But I feel like the team has kind of taken on Russ's identity now. You know, and he's the main guy. And I think that's kind of what they needed. They needed a true leader because Bradley Beal, come off as like a true leader to me. Russ is a real leader. Like, he's that guy, you know. He's that dude that's gonna get in your face, call you out, play harder than everybody on the court, show up early, leave late. Like, he's that dude. And so good to see him kind of back in shape and being the guy that we know he could be. And this team, they have a lot of firepower, man. Like, they're scary, and
they're a little underrated.
Yeah,
I think we gave up on them too early, and we talked about that though, because they were one of the teams that went through COVID early. They went through a lot of injuries early, so their schedule was off. They had a ton of games backloaded, and then they were missing key guys. Bradley Beal missed time. Russell missed some time. I think they had Bertans missing time. They had some injuries early. But it's like with the East, there's really not a whole outside of the top 3, 4, 5 teams. There's not a lot of strength when it comes to like just we're gonna go in and win every single game. We're talking like Indy, beatable. Even the Heat right now, like I could see them giving them a series. I'd expect the Heat to win, but the Hawks, it's like the Hornets. I don't know. I think that the Wizards have the capability to make a run in. One thing I want to touch on too is that you mentioned a really good point. Is that Russ has almost devalued the triple-double. What used to be just an extreme accomplishment for a player to get a triple-double, we're seeing Russ go for like 25, 14, and 16 and not giving him his due. We're just like, oh, he's a stat pattern, but it could just be dude just plays hard. I don't really see a whole lot of stat padding to me, and I don't even understand that term because everybody's playing for the game. Like, you accumulate stats based on your style of play. He just does it at a higher level than everybody else. So when you're talking about, oh, you know, he's a stat pattern or, you know, he's just averaging a triple-double, he's going for the numbers, a lot of times it's just because he's so aggressive on the boards. He wants every board. He's obviously you don't get 10, 15 assists without giving the rock up, and he can score. I love Russ's game, and I think he's going to be looked at when it's all said and done as one of the most underrated players because he didn't get a championship and because he was stat padding. We're going to look at him and say, oh, Russ is pretty underrated. You average a triple-double for an entire season 3-4 times now in his career. Yeah. You're underrated, bro, if we're not talking about you more often.
Yeah, I'll never forget he averaged a triple-double, won the MVP, came back the next year, averaged a triple-double, and did win the MVP. Like, well, all of a sudden the triple-double didn't mean anything. That was always interesting to me. Yeah. But I think at the end, I love that you brought that up. Like, at some point at the end of his career, like, we're gonna look back and be like, this dude, if he might average a triple-double for his whole career. Like, it's historic. It's historic, man, and like, we really should appreciate what we're seeing. It just seems like he plays at a different speed than everybody else, you know, like
different intensity. Like, got the veins popping out of his neck when he's playing, man. Yeah,
like you could say he's stat padding, but that's kind of the point of the game, right? At the end of the game, like, whoever has the most stats wins. So there, I don't know if stat padding is necessarily a bad thing, but he's beating people to rebounds. He's beating everybody down the court. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of the game. He's playing at a different speed, playing at a different level, different intensity.
And he's averaging a triple-double this season in a down year for Russell Westbrook. Right. He's averaging a triple-double, albeit in a losing effort a lot of the times. He's still taking this team right now. There's potentially a chance that they make the playoffs and get into the actual playoffs, not just the playing game. Like I said, I just think this is the team you don't want to see. And when you look at those teams in the East, we covered the Sixers, we covered the Nets. Like, the Nets are banged up right now. I don't know, man. Is there, outside of the Warriors or the Wizards, is there anybody else you could think of? Because there's a lot of teams down there. You're talking the Spurs, Memphis, Dallas, Chicago, you know, just some of those bottom feeder teams. Is there anybody you're looking at outside of the Warriors or outside of the Wizards that has a realistic chance of upsetting one of those top 3-4 teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to keep an eye on the Heat. I really do. Like, you can't count them out, especially after what they did last year. Pretty much bringing the same core group of guys left. It looks like Bam is ready to hit that next level, like ready to be that dude. They've dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of guys being out all year long, and we haven't really talked about that. They've just kind of been flying under the radar. If they can get healthy and get right at the same time, I would never count them out, man. I look at them, I look at the teams under them, and they have enough to, I think, beat a lot of those teams, man. I still really think they do. just the way they match up, the way they play defense, and the way they play, their style of play in the playoffs. Gotta keep an eye on the Heat for sure.
One team I was really disappointed in, and still kind of am, is the New Orleans Pelicans, man.
Yeah.
I expected bigger. I expected a really big leap from them with Zion being able to play a full season, Brandon Ingram kind of owning this team, and Lonzo really taking that next step. And it just hasn't happened. They're still stuck at that 11 seed. They can't beat out the Warriors. They can't beat out the Spurs. I think they're still like 4 or 5 games out right there with the Kings. It doesn't seem like it's all coming together, and it almost feels like they wasted a couple years of Zion's career because they're going to have to blow it up. Yeah. Obviously, they have Brandon Ingram still there, but Lonzo's going to be gone. They're going to have to develop their rookies here pretty soon. And this was going to be – I think this would have been the year for them to sneak into the play-in game, to sneak into the playoffs, and we finally get to see Zion on the big stage. I don't see it happening now for a couple years until they get another piece.
Yeah, it seems like something's missing there for sure, because you look at them on paper and you look at them at times in certain flashes, and it looks like, they should be – there's no reason why they shouldn't be in that, at least in the, the top 10 situation. We don't talk a lot about Zion. Zion's been playing incredible, man. Really incredible. I heard the other day he's only played 75 games so far in his career. He still hasn't played. Yeah, he still hasn't played an entire season worth of games yet, and he looks like a superstar, man. I know a lot of people question him and we doubt him, and there's obviously still, you look at his size and look at the way he plays. There's definitely concerns, but when he's on the court, he gets buckets, man. There's just no other way around it. They got him playing the point guard essentially now. Yeah. For them,
I saw it,
the
man.
offense
it's
going.
Crazy.
It's wild. It's really wild. So he's different, man. He's different for sure.
And he's got the handle to play it too. We see him going up. I forgot who it was the other day. Who was it? I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but he went across them because they're Julius Randle. So they're playing against the Knicks in the Garden, crossed him up, went right by him, and did a dunk. And I'm just like, how do you guard that? You legit just can't guard it. And if the thing with Zion is he capped out. Where's his ceiling at? Because we could easily see dude averaging 28 and 12 here in the next year or so. Or he's probably close to that now. But 28, 12, 30 and 15. What's the ceiling for Zion? We're just getting started when it comes to him. And we got a special player in front of us. I hope we get to see a lot more because, a lot of people were giving up on him last year. They were like, he's too hurt. Can he maintain with the weight? Is he going to be able to be the superstar there instead of Brandon Ingram? Not pitting against each other, but can they complement or play with each other? And we're seeing him take over his team. It's really good to see that he's doing the same things he was in college and that we expected him to be here in the league.
Right. I heard his comments the other day. I think it was yesterday, talking about playing in New York. And talking about how he loved playing in New York. He appreciated the history of the Garden, New York being the mecca of basketball. And obviously that set all Knicks fans on fire, bro. They are so excited about him potentially coming to New York. But I think there's something too. You were just talking about there's something missing with the Pelicans. And if they want to keep that guy around, they're going to have to figure things out sooner than later. If they lose Lonzo, if Brandon Ingram just isn't that guy, if he isn't the psyche, if he's not the number 2 option, they're going to have to figure it out because that's a guy that they're going to have to keep in New Orleans. And they're a 12 seed again. It's going to be hard to convince him to stay around for too long.
Yeah, they got another 2 years to fill the playoff team because I think his contract's up in 2 years, a rookie deal. Yeah, 2 or 3 years. Yeah. They're going to get for 4 years. But he's at the end of the day, he's going to go. He's going to go somewhere that he's going to want to win. And I just don't see the Pelicans having the right framework. I don't like the fact that they gave Brandon Ingram the long contract. I get why they had to do it because they had the framework. But then why do you go trade Drew Holiday? To me, that deal didn't make sense at all. You had Lonzo, Drew, Ingram. I get you would have had to pay Drew Holiday, so you're trying to cash out. But to collect I think they got Eric Bledsoe out of the deal. To me, it wasn't a smart move. And then bringing in. We don't really talk a lot about coaching on this show, and there was one moment I really didn't like the other day. From that same game, Stan Van Gundy is an old school coach
Yes.
coaches his way and is not a player's coach. He's very hard on his players, demands a lot from them. We see him letting Zion be him, which is good. But there was one moment at the end of the game, the Pelicans end up losing the game to the Knicks. And Lonzo had the clock is winding down. Derrick Rose drove to the hoop, kicked it out. Reggie Bullock hits a game-winning three. And he called Lonzo out really bad. He's like, high school players wouldn't make that move. And to me, like, that's not necessary. Like, I'm not a big fan of this old – like, I think that the players coach is the better modern-day coach for this generation of players. What's your thoughts on that? Like, old school coaching versus new school coaching? Because we see it with Tom Thibodeau. We see it with Stan Van Gundy. Then we see coaches like Doc Rivers be a little bit more lax. Like, what's your thoughts on this old school, new school? Because I feel like this old school thing is played out.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it works in certain situations, but you have to be on the same page with the coach and the organization. I think to just bring a guy in and throw him into a situation with a bunch of young players doesn't make sense. But I love what they did in New York. Like I feel like Thibodeau is really similar to Van Gundy, but they put the right players around him, you know? Like Thibodeau was in Minnesota and it didn't work because there weren't the right guys around him. So and I feel like coaches have to adjust as well, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing is Van Gundy, you have to adjust to the players. You have to learn how to talk to players or you're out of there. We just talked about something's missing in New Orleans, right? You see all the pieces there. It looks great on paper. Something's missing. You know Van Gundy is going to be the first person to get the finger pointed at, right? So obviously it was a bonehead play by Lonzo, like helping over and leaving the shooter wide open in the corner when they're down 3. But yeah, man, like that's an easy way to get yourself shipped out of town, man. Like
it happens. I mean, you're going to alienate the player that you guys are trying to either sign or like have part of the organization. You can't alienate your player like Lonzo. Like, I get what Stan Van Gundy's trying to do, but there's a way to do that. And this old school, new school thing to me is like you have to be able to adjust with the time. This player isn't the same player that was there in the 90s and the 80s. Like it's a different type of player. They also have a little bit more leverage. They have a little bit more of a brand. So when you notice like the Quinn Snyders in Utah, he don't really have a lot of big personalities in there. But when you're talking about Zion, Lonzo Ball, like those are bigger personalities. So you have to learn how to coach those. And when you have, Tom Thibodeau, the reason why it's working, who are the big personalities? It's really just Julius Randle and a bunch of guys playing hard. Like they don't have the superstar name. So we'll have to dive into that. I think that'd be a good actual episode talking about coaching and the impact of just specific teams.
Patreon, man. Get on that Patreon, guys.
We got to get that thing live. If you're tuned into us, make sure you subscribe. We're going to have a whole lot of different offerings and special videos for our Patreon members. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like, share. Just Hoop Talk, another edition in the books. Will, my man, I'll see you.
Peace, dude.